Welcome to Wittenoom, Australia, a place once brimming with life and opportunity, now a desolate wasteland, erased from maps and abandoned by time itself. Imagine a town so toxic, so dangerous, that even the air you breathe could kill you. This is the story of Wittenoom, Australia's very own Chernobyl. Today we'll uncover the shocking history behind this ghost town, the catastrophic decisions that led to its downfall, and the lingering consequences for its people and the land around it. Stick around as we unravel one of the darkest chapters in Australia's history. In the northeastern part of Australia lies Wittenoom, once the largest town in its region, with a modest population of just 220,000 people. That figure alone speaks volumes about how sparsely populated this part of the country truly is. Yet today, Wittenoom is entirely abandoned, an empty shell of its former self. It's no longer recognized as a town or village. In fact, the Australian government has gone so far as to remove it from maps altogether, erasing its existence. But why? What happened here? The answer is chilling. Wittenoom became uninhabitable, a place where the soil, the air, and even the water are laced with deadly toxins. Once a thriving community, this town turned into a living nightmare, earning the nickname Australia's Chernobyl. The story begins over a century ago when a mining company stumbled upon a valuable resource in this remote region. A company called CSR acquired the mining rights and began operations, unearthing a material that would ultimately spell doom for Wittenoom. To support their operations, CSR decided to build a small settlement about 10 kilometers from the mine. They named it Wittenoom. At first, it was just a handful of houses, but soon the settlement expanded. Schools, roads, hospitals, everything you'd expect from a growing town started appearing. By the 1940s, Wittenoom had gained fame across Australia. In a country where jobs were scarce, word spread quickly. Come to Wittenoom. There's work, housing, and a fresh start. Thousands flocked to this promising town, unaware of the lurking danger beneath their feet. The source of this prosperity? Blue asbestos. The stones mined here weren't just visually striking, they were also incredibly versatile. Locals used these blue stones for everything, from paving their driveways to insulating their homes. Even the schoolyard, where children played, was covered in these stones. It seemed like Wittenoom had struck gold, or so they thought. But beneath the surface, these blue stones carried a deadly secret. Asbestos, a naturally occurring mineral, was already known to be hazardous. And the blue asbestos found in Wittenoom? It's the deadliest type of all. To understand the danger, let's zoom in, literally. Under a microscope, asbestos fibers look like tiny shards of glass. When inhaled, these fibers become lodged in the lungs, causing irreparable damage over time. The result? Mesothelioma, a type of lung cancer that has no cure. Victims suffer from excruciating chest pain, shortness of breath, and a gradual, agonizing decline as their lungs fail completely. Even as early as the 1930s, scientists warned about the dangers of asbestos. But the warnings fell on deaf ears. Asbestos was cheap, abundant, and an excellent insulator. Its benefits outweighed the risks, at least in the eyes of corporations and governments. In 1948, an Australian doctor named Eric Saint visited Wittenoom. The moment he arrived, he was horrified. From the air, he could see a massive cloud of asbestos dust hovering over the town. He immediately confronted CSR, warning them that their operations were poisoning the population. But CSR dismissed him, and the government turned a blind eye. Years later, another doctor, Jim McNulty, arrived in Wittenoom and found the situation even worse. Dust coated every surface. Standing outside for just 5 minutes left you covered in black powder. Dr. McNulty raised alarms, but like Dr. Saint before him, his warnings were ignored. By the time anyone listened, it was already too late. By the 1950s, the effects of asbestos were undeniable. Dr. McNulty discovered over 100 cases of mesothelioma among the town's residents. Despite his efforts to sound the alarm, CSR's influence kept the truth buried. The residents continued living in the deadly environment, completely unaware of the ticking time bomb beneath their feet. Finally, in 1966, CSR shut down the mine, not because of health concerns, but due to economic reasons. With no jobs, half the population left. But for those who stayed, the nightmare continued. It wasn't until 1978, more than a decade later, that the government officially declared Wittenoom a hazardous zone and ordered a full evacuation. Even after the evacuation, the damage was done. Asbestos fibers remain in the air, the soil, and the water. To date, over 2,000 people who lived or worked in Wittenoom have died from asbestos-related illnesses. Thousands more suffer from severe respiratory issues. The tragedy doesn't end their nearby Aboriginal communities, who have lived in this region for thousands of years, continue to be affected by the contamination. Today, over 3 million tons of asbestos remain scattered across the area. Cleaning it up would cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but the government has shown little interest in addressing the issue. For the people of Wittenoom and the surrounding region, this neglect feels like a death sentence. Once a town of promise, Wittenoom now stands as a haunting reminder of corporate greed and government inaction. Its story is a stark warning about the dangers of prioritizing profit over people. As Wittenoom fades from memory and maps, its legacy endures in the lives it has claimed and the lessons it has taught. Thank you for joining us on this journey into Wittenoom's tragic past. If you found this story compelling, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others to keep the memory of Wittenoom alive. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Should more be done to address the lingering consequences of asbestos contamination? Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.